For me, angels are like the elements. Allah speaks to angels as if they were elements that are not only visible, but also invisible. Thus, an angel who incarnates as a human is an element that incarnates as a mun, as in the TV series Love Between the Fairy and the Devil. The fairy is basically a flower, but when she incarnates, she becomes a beautiful woman. Allah speaks to the mountains, just as it was given to Solomon, the gift of speaking to all living beings, jinns, animals, insects, fish of the sea. And just as Allah commanded the whale of Jonah, Solomon commanded all living species. Surah 27. We have indeed given David and Solomon a knowledge. And they said, Praise be to Allah who has favored us over many of his believing servants. And Solomon inherited David and said, O mankind! We have been taught the language of birds, and we have been given a share of all things. This is truly the clear grace. And there were gathered for Solomon his hosts of jinn, men and birds, and they were placed in ranks. When they came to the valley of the ants, an ant said, O ants! Enter your dwellings, lest Solomon and his hosts crush you underfoot, without knowing it. He smiled, amused by his words, and said, Let me, Lord, give thanks for the favor with which you have bestowed on me and on my parents, and that I may do a good deed that is acceptable to you and admit me, by your mercy, among your righteous servants. Then he reviewed the birds and said, Why do I not see the hoopoe? Is it among those absent? I will punish it severely. Or I will slaughter it. Or it will bring me a clear argument. But she was absent only a short time and said, I have heard what you have not heard, and I bring you good news from Sheba. I have found a woman who is their queen, and she has been blessed with everything and has a magnificent throne. I found her and her people prostrating themselves to the sun instead of Allah. Satan has made their actions seem beautiful to them and has led them astray, and they are not rightly guided. Why do they not prostrate themselves to Allah, who brings out what is hidden in the heavens and the earth, and who knows what you conceal and what you reveal? Allah. There is no God but He, the Lord of the mighty throne. Then Solomon said, We will see whether you have spoken the truth or whether you have lied. Go with this letter of mine and throw it to them, then stand apart from them and see what their answer will be. The queen said, O chiefs! A noble letter has been thrown to me. It is from Solomon, and it is, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, do not be haughty with me and come to me in submission. She said, O chiefs! Advise me in this matter. I will not decide anything unless you are present to advise me. They said, We possess might and power that is formidable. But the command is yours. So consider what you wish to command. She said, Verily, when kings enter a city they corrupt it, and make its honorable citizens humiliated. And that is how they act. I will send them a gift, then I will see what the messengers bring back. Then when the delegation reached Solomon, he said, Is it with wealth that you wish to help me? And what Allah has provided for me is better than what He has provided for you. Rather, you rejoice in your gift. Return to them. We will come with armies against which they will have no resistance, and we will expel them humiliated and despised. He said, O chieftains! Who of you will bring me his throne before they come to me submissive? A fearsome jinn said, I will bring it to you before you rise from your place, for that I am strong and trustworthy. A mun who had knowledge of the book said, I will bring it to you before you wink an eye. When Solomon saw the throne set up next to him, he said, This is from the grace of my Lord, to test me whether I am grateful or ungrateful. Whoever is grateful, it is for his own benefit that he does so, and whoever is ungrateful, then my Lord is self-sufficient and generous. And he said, Make her throne unrecognizable, then we will see whether she is guided or of those who are not guided. When she came, it was said to her, Is your throne like that? She said, It is as if it were. Solomon said, Knowledge was given to us before her, and we were already submissive. But what she worshipped besides Allah prevented her from being a believer, because she was from a disbelieving people. It was said to her, Enter the palace. Then when she saw it, she took it for deep water and uncovered her legs. Then Solomon said to her, This is a palace paved with crystal. She said, Lord, I have wronged myself. I submit with Solomon to Allah, the Lord of the universe. Jesus said to his disciples in Matthew 17, It is because of your unbelief. Truly I say to you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, Move hence to yonder place, and it would move, and nothing would be impossible for you. But this kind of demon only comes out by prayer and fasting. Basically, he is comparing the spirits that inhabit mountains, that is, angels, to demons. Demons are nothing but fallen angels. And mountains are an environmental barrier. And anything that is a barrier to mun is comparable to an evil spirit. Surah 17, and do not tread the earth with pride. You will never be able to split the earth, and you will never be able to reach the height of the mountains. The mountains are greater than Mun. But Mun has authority over them through animism. Allah goes on to say in Surah 27, and you will see the mountains, you think they are fixed, while they pass away like clouds. Such is the work of Allah, who has fashioned everything to perfection. He is perfectly aware of what you do. Allah confirms that the mountains have received from His Spirit. And that, like every element, they can materialize, like jinn and angels. Is this not the origin of earthquakes in the eyes of God? The mountains that move and cause earthquakes. And therefore, they have the power to collapse the world like whirlwinds. Surah 33, and we had proposed to the heavens, the earth and the mountains the responsibility of bearing the burdens, of doing good and of avoiding evil. They refused to bear it and were afraid of it, while Mun took it upon himself. Indeed, he is most unjust to himself and most ignorant. The natural elements are composed of the soul of the Lord. As for the living elements, they have not only the spirit, but also the breath of the soul. The earth, the heavens, and the mountains, like all other creations, have their own form of consciousness, and they perform the glorification of Allah like angels. But this is innate to them and is not accomplished through free will or personal choice, as human beings do. Thus, there is no perfection in it. The responsibility of being Allah's representatives is a great one, obeying Allah's commands, avoiding all that He has forbidden, guiding others to Him, behaving according to the highest standards of morality and integrity, are grandiose ones that human beings have accepted to assume. It is the acceptance of this responsibility, and the subsequent dedication of the responsibilities that come with it, that enables human beings to attain the highest levels of perfection and closeness to Allah. But because human beings do not realize the value of this trust, and fail to grasp the status that they can acquire with Allah through its fulfillment, Allah ends the verse by saying, indeed, man is most unjust to himself, and most ignorant. Man is not ignorant because he has accepted the responsibility that the heavens, the earth and the mountains have refused. No, he is ignorant because he does not realize that his success is linked to this responsibility. This ignorance is an injustice to oneself. We ask Allah, through prayer, to grant us the ability to assume this responsibility, so that we can achieve success and nearness to Him. The mountains? You think they are fixed, while they pass like wind. Jonah 2 verse 11, the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto the dry land. Jesus answered them in Matthew 12, a wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, no sign will be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh will rise up in the judgment with this generation and condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonah, and behold, a greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south will rise up in the judgment with this generation and condemn it, because she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, a greater than Solomon is here. When the unclean spirit has gone out of a man, he walks through dry places, seeking rest, and finds none. Jesus was raised after 3 days, and so spent 3 days in hell. Just as Jonah spent 3 days in the hell of the whale, his stomach, and then God delivered him. Acts 10 tells us this. You know what happened throughout all Judea, beginning in Galilee, after the baptism which John preached, how God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and with power, who went about doing good and healing all who were oppressed by the devil, for God was with him. And we are witnesses of all things that he did both in the country of the Jews and in Jerusalem. They killed him by hanging him on a tree. God raised him up on the 3rd day and allowed him to appear, not to all the people, but to witnesses chosen beforehand by God, even to us, who ate and drank with him after he rose from the dead. And Jesus commanded us to preach to the people and to testify that this is he who was appointed by God to be the judge of the living and the dead. Of him all the prophets bear witness that through his name whoever believes in him receives forgiveness of sins. While Peter was still speaking these words, the Holy Spirit fell on all who heard the word. And all the circumcised believers who came with Peter were amazed that the gift of the Holy Spirit had been poured out on the Gentiles also. For they heard them speaking in tongues and glorifying God. Then Peter said, Can anyone withhold water from those who have received the Holy Spirit as well as we? And he commanded them to be baptized in the name of the Lord. Whereupon they begged him to stay with them for a few days. The mountains, like the elements and the angels, you think they are fixed, while they pass like the wind. The angels were given the gift of manifesting themselves, temporarily, as humans. As in the TV series and also in the Chinese anime Love Between the Fairy and the Devil. Allah created the mountains to stabilize the earth and prevent it from drifting. Nothing, however, prevents the mountains, according to the law of Allah, from guiding us and advising us. This is called animism, attributing the Spirit of God to the mountains, as we attribute His Spirit to our idols.